Hello all. Let's talk a little bit about independent variable and the dependent variable. Okay, so science is all about cause and effect, right? Scientists only do or go through experiments to figure out what is causing change to something. They've seen a question, they've seen something in their environment, they want to answer that question. What's causing that? What is being affected by that? What's causing change? So they're always trying to ask questions about their natural environment. And to do so, they go through the scientific method, right? And they plan this experiment. And this experiment is all about something causing an effect. Or they think something is going to or should cause an effect. So, put very simply, the independent variable is always the cause, or the scientist thinks it's going to cause an effect of some sort. So that means the dependent variable is always the effect. Okay? So, if we have plant growth in soils with different pH values, right? What do we think is going to be causing the change here? Is pH going to cause change, or is plant growth going to cause change? I hope you said pH is the cause of change here, or we think it's going to. Now, what's affected by this pH value? The plant growth. So pH is the independent variable, and what's being affected? The plant growth. So the plant growth is the dependent variable. It's all about cause and effect. Cause and effect. All right. What about the plant growth experiment when we have containers over different days and we're changing the fertilizer? What do we think is going to be causing change in this experiment? The fertilizer we think is going to cause some change. So that's the independent variable. What do we think is going to be affected by this fertilizer? Plant growth, right? So growth is our dependent variable. Now, of course, there are control variables. Those are just the variables that remain the same throughout the entire experiment because we don't want them screwing us up in any way, right? So some control variables. What would we have as control variables in this experiment? How about the same soil, the same placement of the plants, the same containers, the same amount of soil? Those are all things that we set at the beginning and we leave the exact same in all of our groups and all of our trials throughout the experiment. All right. So let's see about comparing these two. The independent versus the dependent variable. The independent variable, they're both variables, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. They're both part of the data that we collect. The independent variable is manipulated, right? It's what the scientist is changing. We are in control of it. And we change it throughout the experiment because we think it's going to be causing some change. All right. So what about the dependent variable? We think it's going to be affected by this independent variable. And we think, that's why it's called dependent, we think it depends on the independent variable. All right, there you go. So, as we already said, control variables are variables that are kept constant throughout the experiment. They never change. So now I'm going to test the temperature, if the temperature affects chirping and crickets, right? So here are my results. I have this graph right here. On the y-axis, we have chirps per minute. On the x-axis, we have temperature. All right. Which one did I think was going to be causing some change in this experiment? Oh, so, let me get all my questions down first. Okay, there we go. We have all my questions. So what's causing change? What am I going to manipulate throughout this experiment to see if I can change or effect something? What's causing change? Oh, I guess we're doing the control variables first. So they stay the same throughout the experiment. So the food, the type, the amount, where I'm keeping my crickets, all of that kind of stuff. The size of the container, the number of crickets in the container. All right. All that stuff. Those are controls. All right, let's get up the time of the recording. Now, I manipulated the what? The independent variable causing change. Which variable? It's the temperature. The temperature, I think, is going to affect the chirps. So the dependent variable is the chirps. Chirps are the dependent variable. Temperature is the independent variable. All right, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, you know where to find me.